The heartbreak from the Paris Olympics does not seem to end. Vinesh Phogat has formally announced her retirement after that horrible disqualification. I'm Barkha Dutt. You're with the Mojo Story. As I said, India is in mourning. India, I think there's not a single Indian who isn't grieving over what has happened to Vinesh Phogat. Announcing her retirement today, Vinesh Phogat heartbreakingly said, "Maa kushti jeet gayi, main haar gayi." Now, this image that you see of Vinesh Phogat is actually in the Olympics village where she's meeting PT Usha after the news came that she had been disqualified. She was 100 grams over the requisite weight, and that 100 grams stood between her and an Olympics medal. She will be coming back home empty handed. In the meantime, wrestler Antim Panghal is facing deportation, trying to quote unquote smuggle her sister into the Games village, which is another terrible embarrassment for India. What's actually going on at Paris? Is there any way that Vinesh Phogat could have actually at least won a silver medal? Who is accountable for what happened to Vinesh? Is there a conspiracy, as the opposition alleges? Is there incompetence, or is this just a cruel twist of fate? Then we introduce a very special guest on the program today. We're joined by Boria Majumdar. He's, of course, one of India's leading journalists, sports journalist, and the founder of Rev Sports. Welcome, Boria, to the program. Pleasure, and really grateful that you're making the time. I know how much is going on in Paris. You're live from Paris with us. Let's start with this tragic announcement of retirement that has come. Was it inevitable after Vinesh's disqualification? Because everybody kind of knew that this was her last Olympics. Your first thoughts on that?
The timing is interesting because you filed an appeal. It also tells you that you also know at the back of your mind that the appeal will not get anywhere, and that's why even without waiting for the result of that appeal, you had to sort of announce retirement. It is heartbreaking. In my 3 decades of covering sport, I have not seen anything like this. You were assured of a silver. You were the first ever individual female possible gold medalist from a country, and thereafter you are now going back empty-handed without a medal. You asked 3 questions. You said, is this a conspiracy? The answer is no. You said, is this a case of incompetence? The answer is a possible yes. You said, is this a cruel twist of fate? Nothing is a cruel twist of fate. There has to be science behind it. How do we say this is an accident and forget it when we also bring in the Antim Panghal story today? Look, every country is playing the same rule. It is the weight on day 1. It is the weight on day 2. Anyone who knows wrestling will know that it is a sport which is about management of weight. On day 1, you were able to manage weight, 49.9 kilos, and you were in. You played your 3 bouts. And obviously, after the first weigh-in, the rule is you will have a recovery meal because you have gradually cut your weight, come to that. And when you fight, Barkha, you will need rehydration. You will need some amount of energy. So you will have some fluid, some food. So basically, during the day, for her 3 bouts, she had some food and some nutrition, some hydration, some fluids. When they took the weight at the end of the 3rd bout, it was 52.7. By the way, let me also tell you, I was in the mix zone. The moment the 3rd bout ended in the semi-final, Vinesh literally came running, and she and I are very good friends. So she saw me, she came to me, we shook hands, and I was obviously thrilled for her. So was she. We both said, brilliant. She said, sir, kal baat karta hu. Aap jante ho kal kya hai? Weight check karna hai, bhaag rahi hu. That's what she said, shook my hand when she was running. This is 15 minutes after the semi-final is over. 15 minutes, maximum 15 minutes. It was about 7:45 Paris time. So she literally ran in to check her weight. Now that's when it was 52.7. You know where my doubt starts. When Dr. Dinshaw Padiwala stated to us, to the media yesterday, that her support team expected that after the recovery meal, the weight will be around 51.5, it actually was 52.7. Now clearly there is miscalculation there. Now you are telling me that the natural body weight...
Miscalculation by whom?
By the support team. The support team thought that the recovery meal and the fluids would get her body weight back to about 51.5. And they were calibrating basis that we have to reduce it by 1.5 kilos in the 12 hours between 8 p.m. Paris time and 7 o'clock morning Paris time next day, which is when the weighing in was happening, 7:15. Clearly, when they took it, it was 52.7. They had calibrated for 51.5. So 1200 grams more. Your calibration was wrong. The explanation that I have been given is we have not tried this before. Now, my question is, why did you not try it before? This rule has been instituted by the UWW 1 year back. For the first time, it is being implemented in an international tournament like the Olympic Games. Now, if Barkha Dutt tells me I will go into an examination unprepared, no, this question is out of syllabus. What do you mean? It's an Olympic final, for God's sake. Every other country is also playing by the same rule. So you can't say, oh, I did not try this earlier, so I had no real idea how much weight will kick back in. The fact is, you calibrated for 1.5 kilos, it was 2.7 kilos, you were not able to do it. And it's not the responsibility of the athlete. It is the responsibility of the support team, the coach, the sports scientist, the nutritionist, the entire support team that was with Vinesh. Now, is this conspiracy? No. Is it incompetence? The jury is out. I'm telling you bare facts in front of you. Now bring in Antim Panghal into the story.
Hang on. Before
No, I'm not bringing in the deportation one. I'm not bringing in that.
Okay.
This is interesting. So Antim Panghal was a possible medalist in the 53 kilogram category. If you ask me ahead of the games, who is the one wrestler are you banking on, Boria? I would have said Antim Panghal. Why? Because she had got the best draw. She's a world championship medalist. She's a Asian Games medalist, and she's one of your best bets. Now, I'm told that Antim just about made the weight. And she made the weight because she was starving. She was starving for 48 hours in the lead up. So when she went to fight, she had no energy left. In 1.5 minutes, she was done, 10-0, lost, finished. And the athlete who beat her is not even a fancy athlete. She lost the next round. Antim's medal hopes over. Now you tell me. So you've botched up Antim Panghal's weight. You've not been able to handle that, so that she had no energy left. You have the same case with Vinesh Phogat, where the weight was a mess up. Now, is this a case of incompetence, yes or no? Should there be introspection, yes or no? Should questions be asked, yes or no? The plain answer is yes. That is why the moment I see Antim Panghal, I see Vinesh Phogat, I'm like, boss, are we not able to handle the basics? Do we not have experienced professionals there to be able to deal with our athletes better? That's the problem.
So let me just mute you for a second while I ask my question. What you're actually saying, Boria, is that there has been a massive botch up, not just when it comes to Vinesh, but even in the management of Antim.
100%. I've written it. Yesterday, I've written this, that it is, in Antim's case, of course, it is a botch up. How do you not manage weight? Weightlifting, boxing, wrestling are sports that are entirely based on managing weight. Now, you have a Vinesh Phogat who's lost out on a possible silver. You've had a gold. You've messed up with an Antim Panghal who was your possible medalist in the 53 kilos, who did not even have any energy left, who went into fight. She's 20 years old. She's 20. She's not supposed to know sports nutrition. The specialist is. The professional team with her is supposed to know, right? So, there has to be accountability. And I'm telling you, I spoke to India's leading Olympians, and you can understand. I don't want to name them because these are personal conversations. But I was told, Boria, ask these questions. Heads have to roll. Because it is not about money. We've spent top dollar. We have spent top dollar on these athletes for these Olympic Games. So then where is the problem? The problem is one of accountability. The problem is one of incompetence. The problem is with the support team, where unfortunately we have failed our country.
You have said that there's been 100% botch up with Antim, a likely botch up with Vinesh, and that leading Olympians have told you heads have to roll. That takes me to a very basic question, and forgive me for asking this basic question. At what level do heads have to roll?
The federation needs to take responsibility for both these wrestlers, because they are ultimately playing for India through the federation. Then the entire support team, the coach, the support staff, the physio, the sports scientist, the nutritionist, everyone needs to be accountable. There has to be introspection. Dr. Dinshaw Padiwala is an orthopedic surgeon. He is not responsible. You are pushing him in front because he's a credible face, and you can get away by pushing Dr. Padiwala in front. Dr. Padiwala is not responsible. The sports scientist, the nutritionist, and the coach who is handling Vinesh, who is handling Antim, and giving the meals, telling them what to eat, giving the nutrition, giving the protein shake, giving the supplements, giving the hydration, they are the ones. You mean to say we have no idea what Antim needs to eat to reduce weight before competition? So we completely mess it up in the last 48 hours that she doesn't drink water. She doesn't have a morsel of food. She's going into a wrestling competition in the 53 kilograms. Can you fight? Can a human being fight? No. So it is a clear 100% case of incompetence and botch up in the case of Antim. In Vinesh's case, no conspiracy, but it is certainly a failure on our part not to be able to manage this weight. And in doing so, we've lost perhaps India's first ever female individual gold medalist.
So what you're saying is that Dr. Pariwala, who's been made the front face, is not the person accountable. There are others within the medical team who have to be held responsible. There has been a kind of inelegant pointing of fingers at Vinesh herself. You know, we've had some athletes say, hey, Vinesh should have known better. Firstly, how is Vinesh doing? I think a lot of people want to know, how is she? Have you had any contact, any conversation, any update on her?
The last I spoke to her was after the semi-final. After that, I have not spoken to her. I have spoken to people who have spoken to her, including PT Usha, including a number of people from the Indian Olympic Association who met her. I have spoken to everyone who went to the polyclinic where Vinesh was. Medically, she is doing fine. Mentally, of course, she is not doing fine. She is broken. There are a group of, now she has filed that appeal. She put that tweet out around 2 a.m. in the morning Paris time. So I've not had a personal chat with her, but I've had conversations with almost everyone who went to that polyclinic yesterday where she was admitted for hydration. Because at 4 a.m. Barkha, at 4 a.m., they were not able to get any sweat out of her, which is alarming. If you are not able to sweat, because the coach was sort of rubbing her palm, rubbing her legs, they were doing sauna, they were doing cycling, they were doing skipping, they cut her hair at 4 a.m. in the morning, they tried everything. At that point in time, no sweat, which means the body had given out every bit of water. So at that point, you can't push more because then the athlete might just collapse. Something terrible might happen. Medically, you can't do more. So that's what the state was. After the weighing in, they had to take her to the polyclinic to give her hydration drips and intravenous so that she could get some energy back. That's where she is. Medically, she is fine. Of course, mentally, she is broken. That's the update on Vinesh.
But can I ask you to talk about, when you say at 4 a.m. they were not able to get sweat out of her. There are some accounts that have suggested that she was close to risking her life in the process of cutting this weight.
Not life, because the medical team wouldn't allow, but she had done everything. Look, wrestling is a grueling sport. Just to make your viewers understand, Barkha Dutt wants to fight the 50 kilos. Barkha Dutt generally pushes the body weight up to 55. That's the norm. 14 days before competition. So that's your normal body weight. So 14 days before competition, you start to reduce. Okay? So you reduce it from 55 to 54 to 53 to 50. And then a day before competition, it's about a kilo. It's about a kilo and a half that you have to manage. And you do that by starving. You do that by not drinking water. You do that by pushing your body through incredible limits. That's how wrestling is. So on the morning of your bout, when you go in for the weigh-in, you are about 49.9 kilos. That's day one. And then because you have starved yourself in the last 24 hours, you've not eaten anything, you need energy back to go and fight, you have a recovery meal. You have a recovery meal basis that I will obviously get some kilos back, but it will not be something that will not be, sort of not be able to reduce this in the next 12 hours. And that is something your support team has to know. Your support team has to know your body completely so that whatever they are putting into your body, they know that you will be able to get this out for the next weigh-in next morning. That's how wrestling is. So when the support team realized 2.7 kilos, they did everything. They tried everything, but already the damage was done. They were calibrating 1.5. It had become 2.7. So they were up against it. They knew it at 8 p.m. in the night. Then they tried everything in the world. But obviously, medically, you cannot risk a person. I mean, an Olympic medal, yes, but an Olympic medal has nothing to do with a life. A life is way more important. So they had to cut short. When the sweat is not coming out, you stop there. You stop him, they cut her hair and all that. How much does hair weigh? I mean, but from 52.7, they were able to bring it down to 50.1. The last 100 grams, they were not able to control.
So if you were in government, or if you were in the IOC, or if you wanted to show that visible action has been taken because there has been 100% botch up with Antim and possible incompetence with Vinesh, where would you start?
I'll start with firstly, and I'll tell you step by step. I'd ask a report from the support team, the coach, the nutritionist, the head of the support team. I'll say what happened, because the United States is also following the same rule. The Chinese are also following the same rule. The Brits are following the same rule. Everyone's following the same rule. So why is it happening with us? Why is it happening with our possible medalist? Antim was a possible medalist. Vinesh is a possible medalist. Why is it happening with us? And then because these people are being paid top dollar. It is not as if we are paying any less money. So when I said heads must roll, I'm actually asking questions of accountability from the collective. As a collective, look, it's never an athlete. So if it's Barkha, so Mojo Story, it's not about Barkha Dutt. There's somebody at the back end, there's somebody editing, somebody putting the graphics. Barkha must be the face. Vinesh is the face. But the back end is as important as Barkha, so that Mojo Story becomes visible in a certain form to the viewer. Now, my question is to that back team. Suppose they screw up your graphics and put instead of incompetence, they put conspiracy. Will Barkha be accountable? Yes, but the back end team is also accountable. My question is to the back end team, because here Barkha is not doing the graphics. Barkha is just doing the face. She's the athlete. Vinesh is the athlete. The back end team is the problem. Antim is the athlete. The back end team is the problem. That's where the questions must be asked. It is a collective failure. As a collective, we have failed our athlete. As a collective, we have failed our country. And unless this is rectified and remedied immediately, sport will carry on. It is soft power. We are trying to host the 2036 Olympics. Are you trying to tell me that we will host the Olympic Games with 6 medals? We are trying to put a bid together. We will put a solid bid with 6 medals? It can't happen. You've got to get your act together for LA. And the planning starts today. It should have started 4 years back. It should start today to get our act together for LA. Lashing out won't help. You have to be constructively critical to try and understand where you went wrong. 6 fourth place finishes. Why? Is it going wrong at the crunch moment? Is it a mental issue? How is it that you are finishing fourth? Fourth means you have the talent. Fourth means you are able to get yourself there and you can't win the medal. So is there a problem there? You botched up 2 medals with Vinesh and Antim. So you clearly need to ask the Laksha. You are putting Laksha on screen. Laksha was ahead of against Victor Axelsen. Laksha was leading 1-0 and then second game 8-3 against Lee Zijia. And he lost from there. And Arjun Babuta lost. Manu Bhakar's that tiebreak shoot-off. Manu has at least done incredibly well with Jaspal. Now, my question is, 6 fourth place finishes. Does it tell you a story? It does, right? It tells you a story. The botch up with Antim tells you a story. That's where I think we need to get better.
Let's just talk about Antim for one moment. The botch up with her competition is one story, but now there is deportation because her sister was accused of using her accreditation. Highly embarrassing. You broke that story on social media. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it is ridiculous because from what I am told, that that's actually Shormishta's story. She's writing about it as well. That from what I wrote in social media, that Antim, but there are 2 parts to it. One part hasn't yet come out. Her sister went to the village with her accreditation to get her, luggage and stuff out, so that she did not want to go to the village. And obviously, if you do something stupid like that, the army police, which mans the village, caught her. And when they caught her and seized the accreditation and informed the local police then had to inform the Indian Olympic Association people. Like I wrote on social media, they were in the police station till 12:30 a.m. in the morning at St. Denis, and then had to give an undertaking that the whole contingent, the Antim family, will be sent back to India, and they are all going back today. The second part to that story is the brother, which I just tweeted. I didn't give details. Now they had a brawl with the taxi driver. They had a brawl with the taxi driver and they were refusing to pay. They were inebriated. They were completely inebriated. They refused to pay and they went back to the hotel, and the taxi driver filed a police complaint. So this was a two-part story. One was the village where the sister got caught, and one was the hotel, the IOA team hotel, where the brother got caught. So the police came to the hotel and the police went to the village. So it was a complete mess up which lasted till 2 a.m. in the morning. Finally, they had to give an undertaking that we will send them back to the IOC, and that's what they are doing today.
But this is so embarrassing.
Come on, you're putting on your country on the line. India is becoming a laughing stock because your athlete and the athlete's contingent is doing all this. Of course, it is embarrassing. It is deeply, deeply humiliating, embarrassing, and insulting if you are an Indian. I mean, what more do I say? I mean, medals I understand. Fine, you've not won medals, big deal. But this, you're fighting with locals. You're drunk and you're inebriated and you're impersonating someone's this thing and entering the Olympic village, which is supposed to be sacrosanct. Come on, I mean, this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable.
Let me end by asking you what a lot of Indians would want to know. Vinesh appealed the decision. India protested. Any hopes there?
No, because I mean, if it happens, let me put it, if it happens in my 3 decades of sports journalism career, this will be one miracle I will celebrate like it's anyone's business. There were 2 parts to that appeal. I have not yet broken the story. I am actually breaking the story here. I'll write about it just now. Yeah. The appeal was sent at around 3:30 p.m. It's a group of 3 or 4 lawyers who said we are fighting a pro bono case for Vinesh Phogat, and we have got a power of attorney from her, and we are fighting this case. So they sent the mail to the UWW, which is the world body for wrestling, and they sent the appeal to CAS. It was a 2-part thing with some documents attached. The first part said stop the final because allow me to give my weight again, I'll remedy it. Now, obviously, the final happened, so that is now redundant. The second part is give me the silver medal or make it joint silver medal because when I fought for that, it was fair. Let's put it this way. 100, PT Usha lost by 1 million second. This is even less than that in terms of chance. Yeah. If she gets it, all of India will celebrate. I will be the first to start jumping up and about. But hand on heart, mind, nothing will happen.
There are those who say she should have declared herself injured, then she would have got the silver.
No, nonsense. Because the tournament doctor has to evaluate her. Barkha and I can't go and say I'm injured. What do you mean I'm injured? Then everybody will say I'm injured. Now you will go and do something. Think. Now you will go and eat in a manner that gives you a weight advantage over your opponent on day 1 after the weighing in. So you will then say, fair enough, I've now won the silver medal. I will not go in for the weigh-in. I'm injured. I'll take the silver and go home. You are clearly playing, boss, this is Olympic Games. There are Olympic values. It's about truth. It's about ethicality. You just can't say, hey, why did you not do this? It's about values. People who are saying this have no clue about Olympic values, about Olympic education, about ethicality. This is not like that. People can't do corrupt things and get away.
Final word, what happens to Vinesh? And if there's one thing you want to say about India, the Paris Olympics, what is that?
Disappointing Olympics. I actually had predicted 8 to 9 medals for a reasonably poor Olympics. We will end up with 5 possibly. Disappointing Olympics when we've spent top dollar, when we did everything possible. To Vinesh, no one is hurting more than her. I just hope she heals. The retirement came as a shock to me. I was numb at 3 o'clock when I was writing. You and I were exchanging messages at that point. I could not even write. It came as a shock. All I will say is hope she heals and we all heal too, because the Vinesh thing will take time for all of us to recover from.
Boria, I always learn so much from you. Pleasure talking to you. And thank you so much in the middle of everything that's happening for making time for us and our audience. Thank you.
Privilege and pleasure. Thank you very much and all the best to you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care. Talk soon. Bye.
Bye.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.